Hello friends, today I would like us to think about the importance of the practice of inquiry. The whole non-dual teaching is guidance on the way of inquiry, and remembering this will always help us stay clear, balanced and focused. What is the subject of this inquiry? It is what is most significant to us, the nature of our true self. Why is this inquiry necessary? Because until we pursue it, the truth of our own being appears to be hidden. This not knowing of our true self is the root of all our discontent and anxieties. The only solution to not knowing is knowledge. And the way to knowledge is inquiry. This not knowing has two elements. One is not knowing what we really are. The other is the belief that we're something we are not. That is the mind. This identification with the mind is called ego. The ego is a part of the human personality and it has its proper place. But like other aspects of the personality, it is not the true self. Because we so strongly identify with the individualized mind, the inquiry into self-knowledge is in large part an inquiry into what self is not. Life has taught us that ego is the root of much difficulty. The need to defend and promote our separate self brings insecurity and conflict. But when life becomes a journey of discovery, we find that hidden within the ego is a precious jewel. The conviction I am this individual mind may be the primal error, but it contains a great truth. The truth, I am. On the path of progressive inquiry, we learn to distinguish the light of self-awareness from the mind, in which it is reflected as the ego. We will discover that we're not the finite mind. The true I is identical with the absolute non-dual reality. The goal of this investigation is what is closest to us. But this doesn't mean that the way is entirely simple and straightforward. It presents special challenges because our true self is never an object that can be investigated in the same way as geography or mathematics or any other field of study. In this special inquiry, we need special guidance from those with intimate first-hand knowledge of the path and its end, such as that recorded in the Upanishads and restated by those who have realized this truth directly in the present day. The rightly guided pursuit of self-knowledge will not make us introspective or overly concerned with our personal interests in a restrictive sense. Deepening self-knowledge is the way out of these limitations, because the truth of our own nature turns out to be identical with the vital reality present in all beings. True self-discovery is the key to empathy and unconditional love. Now we see the value of understanding and remembering the non-duality is a way of inquiry, guided by the living Upanishadic wisdom, in pursuit of the knowledge that removes ignorance of one's true self, the reality in all. We may be thinking, actually, I just want to be happy, to be relaxed and free of anxiety, and perhaps to gain some strength and wisdom to share with others. These are healthy, progressive ideals, and they are actualized when we put ourselves in harmony with the vital center of our own being. Life experience has taught us that appearances are often deceptive and that what is attractive on the surface may be disappointing and costly. Equally, we have found that sacrifices in the form of sustained effort and acts of kindness bring more lasting, if subtle, rewards. These experiences gradually awaken us to the presence of a power behind manifest phenomena, prompting us to investigate the workings of this power within ourselves. Now, this inquiry is becoming a priority, and it will lead step by step to the realization of our identity with the non-dual self in all the apparent phenomena. We increasingly find ourselves in the position of one who observes what is passing through our mind and feelings. This enables us to use our faculties more effectively, and the quality of life improves accordingly. We also find that this condition of inner independence has an intrinsic value and beauty exceeding any external advantages. We have begun to discriminate the pure conscious essence of our nature and to look with equanimity on what comes and goes. So we have in fact begun to follow the path of inquiry, and we shall not find complete rest until we discover the self behind the mind and the real behind appearances. We might say, inquiry is an activity which is done with the mind. How can more mental activity lead to knowledge of the real beyond thought? Will not these efforts be self-defeating? The answer is to remember that much of our inquiry is about what self is not, and our human body and mind are priceless, yet we are aware of their changing states and limitations, so they cannot be the one who knows them. Our self-study involves stepping back from thoughts and feelings based on identification with the mind, and reasoning according to the Upanishadic teaching that the true self transcends the finite. Our rational faculty can perceive its own limitations and intuitively recognizes that the real lies beyond them. In the higher stages of inquiry, the mind willingly stills its own natural impulses and becomes the instrument of the conscious light under which it functions. The path of inquiry leads to an intuitive certainty that the non-dual teachings are true. This deep, intuitive conviction is called indirect knowledge, and indirect knowledge, held with receptive attention before the inner gaze, loosens the final bonds of limited identification. Remembering that we are explorers with the goal brings the clarity, balance, and focus we need to use our inner resources effectively. It is reassuring to know that on this path we do not have to be supernaturally saintly. We do not need to practice severe austerities, nor be vastly learned. We need just enough goodwill, self-control, and study to help us discern and affirm in our daily lives what the conscious essence of our being is and what it is not. These qualities do not make one appear special in the eyes of the world, and the desire for worldly recognition is an obvious manifestation of limited egoism. We may have heard that devotion is the surest way to inner illumination. Is it not love that overcomes obstacles and divisions? We have experienced love or its absence in various forms. What do all these forms of love have in common? The ground of true love is the sense of identity, the feeling that the self of the beloved is not separate from one's own self. Love begins with the spark of recognition. It is sustained and deepened when we see beyond our feelings about the beloved and become most aware of their inner being, which in essence is identical with our own. Devotion matures from these experiences. Devotion to the Supreme Being, whatever we may call that, is the will to know absolute reality from within as self. We may say, is it not best to dedicate oneself to a life of service to others? Service is the best action, but let us remember that action begins with thought and intention, and without knowledge, action may be ineffective or worse. The limit of our knowledge of human nature and potential is the limit of our ability to be of service to anyone in the challenges of life. In a world of seemingly insoluble problems and complexity, self-knowledge solves by transcending, as a flower transcends the soil from which it grows. Friends, let us conclude today with one more facet of the teaching. Logically, we understand that no action can be the direct means to self-realization. Goodwill, self-control, and respect for truth are essential because they overcome their opposites. Yet no act of benevolence or asceticism or worship can be the immediate cause that results in liberation, because the liberating truth is beyond all cause and effect. We have been talking about the path to self-knowledge, which is a helpful analogy up to a point. But it is misleading to think of the end as one more step like all the others that preceded it. Each step has to be guided by the light of the knowledge given in the Upanishads and restated by living witnesses, that the ultimate self is identical with ultimate reality. The truth is self-luminous. All the methods applied to removing what appears to obscure it. There is indirect knowledge and direct knowledge. Indirect knowledge is the light reflected in a controlled mind. Direct knowledge is identity with consciousness absolute. Friends, this apparent path begins at the still point and ends at the still point. Let us practice right action, self-control, and love of truth in the light of the non-dual teachings. This is true inquiry, the most fulfilling of all endeavors. Thank you for being with me today.